Welcome back, guys, on this fine Wednesday evening. I'm your host, Mason Paul. Along with me is Cameron Miguez. How's your day going so far, Cam?
What, no sexy or DJ guy or nothing? You give up on the big intro stuff? What happened?
We'll work towards that maybe later on. I'm trying. I gotta kind of brainstorm up another one. I can't just reuse the same one every time. So, trying to make some things up.
Well, because I was thinking between your big intros and the Crush Disc guys have a cool out, their sign off thing, and Bradshaw always ends theirs with, I don't know, keep shining and have a rubber on your side or whatever, or rubber by your side.
Yeah.
That I had to come up with something. So tonight I have a brand new outro I'm going to end the show with that I've been working on all day. And it is going to be, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's probably going to bring the world down. It's going to bring the house down.
Well, I can't wait to do that.
It's going to be special. It's going to be special. But anyway, my day's good. It's hotter than hell in Oklahoma, for the love of Moses. Jesus Christ, it's hot. I think it was like 173 today. I got sweat and crevices that I shouldn't have it in, but that's neither here nor there. How about you? What's it like off in San Diego?
Pretty good. Gonna actually be tearing apart my computer entirely after this episode and basically rebuild and put a few new things in it. Try to keep my hands busy. A friend of mine actually told me after we did our episode with Gary, it's like, why am I always wearing a beanie while I'm inside? And it's like, in the summer of California, is it hot there? It's like, well, to answer your question, yes, it is. And honestly, I've only been putting this beanie on because I'm trying to grow out this fro going on, kind of have a blast out of the past. And it's like, I don't want it to take up the whole screen. I was afraid of it if I picked it all the way out. It's like, how much is it going to take? So every episode, I just try to pack it down super good and put a beanie on. But these are one of those days where it's like, yeah, it's pretty hot. I don't think people really know why I'm wearing it. Probably look stupid with it. So might as well give an explanation. Actually have some breathing room. Anyways, with that, what are we got for shows this weekend?
Did we really go into an 2-minute explanation of your hair?
I wasn't timing, but I don't think it was 2 minutes.
Is this what we've come to? This is what we've come to. All right. I feel like we ought to just go off now. I think we've killed her. Right. We've ruined it. Next question.
Okay, well, with that, our podcast is now over. Cam, we can hear your big thing you got planned. Your big quote.
We'll talk about
No.
my big thing here. All right. So I say let's see if we can save this, and let's go ahead and bring up our guest, Mr. Straight Up Racing, driver of Rockstar, Mr. Billy Payne. Mr.
Right.
Bill Payne. What's going on, my
Do I have
man?
a double chin?
Yes. Actually, you have 3.
Here, I'll sit lower. That way you can't see it.
There you go. What a boy. What's going on, man?
I guess I'm taking a break from working on monster trucks to talk to you guys.
Well, it's good. That was nice of you to step away for a second. You know, it doesn't.
Well, some of us has to work for a living.
Well, it sucks for you. Reevaluate your career. Reevaluate your career, and you become me. So let's talk about quarantine. I mean, I know you've been busy. What's all this time off been like for you? I mean, good, bad, and different?
Different. I mean, it's got some pros and some cons. I mean, we're getting lots of work done around the place. I love being home, but I also love going on the road. Obviously, you can see our fan's not on because it's only 61 degrees here in Washington. I see both of you guys have fan on high.
Oh yeah. It was actual temperature was 102 today, and
Doesn't sound fun.
it's not bad. You get used to it once you tape your skin up before it starts to melt off. You're good. But I'll take this shit over cold weather any day of the week. So bring it on.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, let's talk about the life and times of Bill Payne and Straight Up Racing, and go back and what made you decide to buy a monster truck and get into the sport to begin with?
Really, I hated my job. I was working at the shipyard, and where we live, that's like everybody's goal is they think that you're going to be on top of the world if you can be working at the shipyard. Once I got in, I found out it wasn't the life for me. A lot of standing around and do paperwork so you can wait for paperwork so you can wait for paperwork to do work. And then do more paperwork. But I had a guy that approached me that was wanting to run a couple of monster trucks, but he didn't know anything about them, and he needed somebody to run and do the fab work and the truck driving part. And it was just the perfect timing. I hated my job, and I had this cool opportunity that was kind of thrown in my lap, and I went for it.
Well, now, so you bought the Jeeps to start with, right? And I mean,
yeah. So the guy I kind of partnered up with, he bought the Jeeps. And then we ran together for about 6 months or so. And then he ended up, obviously, it was just a midlife crisis for him. And then he gave me probably the sweetheart deal of, the monster truck industry. I ended up buying both Jeeps and the semi for $18,000.
Holy hell.
Yeah. So that's how I started. $18,000 into 2 monster trucks. And then I begged and pleaded. My first few shows were, Mike Welsh shows just to get my feet wet, just to figure out how it was going. And then I think the second person to ever give me a shot was Ed Beckley with Checkered Flag. So it's, um, I was running trucks that were probably 10 years past due of being retired, and I was still trying to do what everybody was doing at that time.
Well, and so, I mean, you went from there and you decided to go build your own truck, but was it, I mean, how competitive were you with the Jeeps? I mean, I did a couple of shows when you still had them. I think we did Monterey, Mexico. You were still running the Jeeps, and you were fast, and they definitely.
It wasn't racing. It wasn't our forte. It was the freestyle, because you could see it was like throwing a basketball up in the air and just watching where it bounced, or maybe like a football, because it's always got those funky corners, and it would bounce one way, you think it was going to do something else, and it would bounce the opposite direction. And I think that's what kind of got people, willing to hire us, is because we were out there driving like, madman. We were always willing to fix them and willing to do it again the next day.
Well, so now let's fast forward a little bit to when you decided to build you a new truck. And you built the Rockstar truck, tube chassis, nice fancy seat behind you. What led all into that? And
really, I think the thing that started to get to be the most pit parties, and you'd always hear those people, in the back of their silent voice saying, "Oh man, look at this thing. This is rough," or "Oh, this thing's been crashed a lot." It starts getting me, because at a certain time, you want to be, take pride in everything. But again, they're trucks that, we're running and we're destroying. And, it's at some point you want to say, well, it's been freestyle, it's been flipped, but, you still want them to look good. And at some point it just started getting so rough where it was time. And then when we built the new truck, the back seat was originally just to be for a marketing tool, just to do, radio station stuff or, TV. And then the first show we did, I think it was Salt Lake City, I asked Lorna if she wanted to ride, because we didn't have any news people, and she never got out ever since.
Well, I remember you offered to let me ride with you once, and pretty sure I told you flat out I didn't want to be in the building when you were driving, let alone sit with you.
It's funny, it's because most of the other monster drivers said the same thing, that she's crazy that they wouldn't ride with me.
I mean, I guess so when you break it down, actually, when you're driving, the safest place to be is sitting right behind you.
New Rockstar, she sits beside me, so now she gets to see all the crazy things that we're getting ready to do.
Yeah, I think I would paint the visor of my helmet and just close it and hope for the best. Well,
I think she closes her eyes a lot.
She just goes, her eyes closed. Looks like she just woke up when the show's over, eyes all crusted over from her crying in fear.
Yeah. With the new Rockstar, there was a few shows that she said she wasn't riding because, we make our own shocks now, and that's been a learning curve. It's not as easy as you think it is just to make your own shocks. There's definitely a learning curve. Even when you try to copy somebody else's part, it doesn't seem to work. So,
There's actually
first
half
a dozen shows, she would ride for the, first part of the show and just say, "Nope, I'm out. Maybe next week."
You mean to tell me there's actually like a formula and stuff that goes into the shocks? It's not just cans and a shaft and hope for the best?
A little bit of rocks and, a little bit of sand.
Try 90 weight. That didn't work. So I guess let's try water.
That's funny. There was something, I can't remember what we did. We tried something stupid like that. And I was like, man, let's try this. And it was just like, we came back. I was like, whoa, that didn't work. When I called Donald, I told him what I tried. He's like, "You did what? Seriously?" I had to give it a shot. I think it was gear oil, because I couldn't figure out what it was doing. I wasn't sure if it was too soft and it was bump stops or what. So I was like, well, let's try gear oil. And the things didn't move.
Honey, funny you can't get gear oil to go through a 16th inch hole. That's weird. That won't move. I can't believe that. Ah.
Well, now we know that.
The cool thing is you didn't even have to shim it. He didn't have to put a shift. She wasn't moving.
Yep.
Well, so let's back up a little bit, talk about the journey of straight up racing. I mean, you started building your own trucks, and then you joined up with Danny Torgerson. You guys started going promoting shows and kind of building what the circus that you have now. I mean, you're kind of a one-man show. Talk about that a little bit and how that all went about.
Really, I mean, it's every promoter's always wanted people that work hard other than doing the monster trucks, and we were always willing to do the marketing part, the display part, the helping with tracks, the helping with merchandise, and we always tried to get every bit of knowledge that we could from every promoter that we worked with. And again, with that, like I said, we were hardworking. We were always willing to make sure the trucks ran. When we had approached that time, Danny Torgerson had a bunch of trucks that didn't run very well, that needed a bunch of love. So we took those over for him and ran those for a while. And then we ended up purchasing those from him as well to make the team that we have now. And then, we built new chassis for those ones to get rid of the Don King stuff. And then just built the team to the size we are now. Now that we have it the size that we want, now it's time to make everything, those unique quality pieces, instead of, just trying to get it as big as we could, as fast as we could. So we had the entire show. Now we have that time to do like our own steering ramps, our own chassis, transfer case, the planetaries that you see, and we got a bunch of other ideas that we'd love to do if, we could ever get back to work.
Well, now, so is your goal to be that's it, just your shows, you do your own thing all year long, or are you still trying to run for the promoters here and there?
Yeah, now we're at about 90% of our shows are just straight up racing shows only. We do a couple here and there for other people. Rob Wolachek up in Canada, we do a couple with him, and a couple for Brian Wagner with All Star. Other than that, we don't work for any other promoters. It's just ourselves. It's not that we wouldn't work for promoters. It's just now we're, the size we are, I can't just have, 6 guys and only using 2 trucks. So we just do our own shows where we can bring our whole fleet. We can have the robot, we can have the jet or the tank, and then all the monster trucks. We got the 5 race trucks and the 2 ride trucks. So we're at that point where I think we're just so large where we're just going to keep doing our own stuff.
Well, before we get too far into this, we always have a segment on here with a young man by the name of Christopher Allen that comes and tells us all the information about the driver we need to know. To where half the time we really don't even need the driver, but we bring you on anyway just to fill time. So let's see what Christopher has to say about Bill Payne.
Hi, Monster Truck fans. Christopher Allen, the Monster Truck Guru, is back again for another episode of Monster Truck Fact of the Week. This recording is about the founder of Straight Up Racing and the ringleader of the malicious Monster Truck Tour, Bill Payne. Bill started in the sport by purchasing the high-voltage Jeep from Jeff Bainter and running it for a few years. In 2006, Bill debuted what became his signature identity, Rockstar. In 2010, Bill added a second truck to his fleet, California Kid. This was a 1934 Ford sedan, which either launched or helped the careers of future big industry names Donald Epidendio and B.J. Johnson. As Bill's fleet of trucks grew, he decided to start producing his own shows. The result was the Malicious Monster Truck Tour, which debuted in 2016 at Cottage Grove, Oregon, and ever since has traveled all across the United States and Canada as a fan favorite show at speedway venues. In 2010, Bill founded an elite group of hard-charging monster truck owner-drivers called the Monster Truck Mafia. His partner, Danny Torgerson, the promoter of the Monster X Tour. In the group's heyday, it featured big names in sport like Ghost Rider, Raising Cane, Bad Habit, and Titan, among others, in its ranks. The group disbanded in 2013, but it still remains an impressive footnote on Bill Payne's list of accomplishments in the monster truck sport. And that is your episode of Monster Truck Fact of the Week, fans. Please check out Monster Truckin' with Jim and Chris on Facebook and Instagram for loads of superb Monster Truck show coverage content. Please like this page for new episodes, and remember, Monster Trucks forever!
See what I mean? We don't even need you.
That's it.
I mean,
His facts are just about right on the money.
Yeah, he knows more about you than you do. Well, so
It's
I'm kind of
yeah, I was kind of seeing some of the comments, and Lee Plato commented, oh my gosh, that we're going to be going through his shocks. Don't worry, I've got it figured out. Gear oil is not the right thing.
Yeah, well, you do 75-90 instead of 80-90, you'll be fine.
That's right, synthetic.
Yeah, just do the synthetic. It'll flow. Just drill the piston hole out a little bit. It'll move.
5/8 or so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when Lee jumps it, you won't feel a thing.
His kid's little. I mean, he's got no weight.
He'll be fine. Just wear a mouthpiece so you don't bite your tongue off. Well, so Christopher did have something interesting in there. We actually had BJ Johnson on here a few weeks ago, and like he talked about, when he was with your team and Donald Epididio. I mean, how cool is it to know that a couple of very big guys came through your team and started with you and went on to have good careers?
Like with BJ, he already had a very well built career before he joined our team, and really he was an asset to us just to be able to have that second person that had the knowledge that we needed on the team, because that was right when the team was getting larger, and I couldn't do everything by myself. So having BJ on the team at that point, I mean, we weren't a stepping stone for him. I mean, really, we were the stepping stone, or he wasn't a stepping stone for us. I don't know, however it works. Anyways, he was an asset to have. However,
benefit. Well, now what about like Donald? I mean, he's a floaty. He's not a stepping stone. He's like a flotation.
Donald was probably the worst mistake of my life, honestly. I mean, I can't get rid of the guy now. It's like one of those adopted kids. I got to keep, talking to him, and I got to keep, telling him everything's going to be okay. And just, I don't know. It's been probably the best relationship that, I've had besides you, babe. Sorry. It's funny. His Lord always calls him my girlfriend. Anyway.
Well, he does look pregnant.
It's tough, I mean, you always talk about, that you wish you had that dream team, or, your all-star team where I could pick, if we could have this guy back and this guy back and this guy back and have, all those guys on the team, what would the team be like? But then again, we learn so much from some of the new guys that come on board. I'm glad that everyone that we've had, I mean, some of them have only lasted I think the shortest one was only a day or two. And I mean, we've had some that have been with us, 12 years now.
Well, I'm pretty sure Straight Up Racing's budget couldn't afford to still have BJ and Donald on the team and you all at the same time.
I don't think so. I mean, our parts are good, but like you just said,
I'm pretty sure you can't produce them fast.
The first show that Donald ever drove, he hit the wall like 3 times. He rolled it, and I can't remember what else he did. And I went up to him. I was like, "Dude, I said I needed aggressive and smart."
Well, hell, he pretty much probably just followed your lead. He probably saw the marks on the wall that you put there and just aimed for them.
Well, I don't know. It was Michael Harper's show, and he had a long jump contest inside a hockey arena. So, I mean, you can tell how that was going to work with 2 short wheelbase trucks.
Well, did he win?
I can't remember, but he tagged the wall. I mean, it was from one end to the other.
Full pull.
Good thing they were concrete walls.
Yeah, full pull right there. Well, all right. So one of our big things on here is comments and questions from the fans, and I'm sure somebody's got something to say to you. So, Mason, what do they got for Billy Payne?
All right, pulling them up here. Hopefully, didn't lose connection there. Anyways, we have one from our good friend Daniel Cheech Agosh from Crush This saying, "What got you to start making those awesome planetaries?"
We hit a gold mine in Oregon that we were able to get 100 Clark planetaries for $25 a piece. And this is just the planetary cover, not the full deal. But like a dummy, I thought, I'm never going to need this many. So I started selling them to everybody in the industry, helping them out. Sold some to, Cretan's team, and Donald, and Feld bought a bunch, and Swanson and Avenger. I mean, I was selling them everywhere, and I kept about 20 to ourselves. And then I had this genius idea that I wanted to start, doing slap wheelies all the time, and driving aggressive. And then we started breaking them more and more and more and more. And then we looked at the part shelf, and we had like 3 left. And that was when we decided we need to do something. We need to do something in a hurry. So we started trying to make something with the guy that was doing some machining with us. And literally, I mean, we were down to the last one. I told him that I had just put the last spare that we had on the truck. We got to get these things done. And literally, I mean, we got them finished, and we started testing them. And I mean, it was, we had no spare parts left. And we were running the same problems like everybody else did in the industry, where, that was the Achilles heel, that, there was no fix to it. I don't know if that's a question, if I just did a whole big thing, but that's why we were out of parts.
Yeah, sum it all up. We just didn't
I
have
like
shit.
to talk.
No, dude, that's what this is for. You're supposed to talk. It's a podcast. You're supposed to talk. That's good. You're doing fine.
My hands.
Just keep them here. Just keep them up. So moving on to right now.
Okay.
What else, Mason?
Okay, I was about to actually go to a question that was sent in to me before the podcast started, actually from BJ Johnson, and he was asking, make sure to ask Bill about being sunburned when we are stretched in the semi for 8 days. He's making sure that answer, got that answered out there. So, what's the story behind that?
We had a lot of dumb moments together. I mean,
that's hard to believe.
Everything from wearing the mullets to, going into the Golden Corrals, with the mullets on, floating down rivers. I mean, we've done a lot of things with BJ because, he was another person that just loved to have fun. I mean, this was a thing for his life where he just wanted to be able to remember it. Even when we spent the week at his house, I mean, his girls used my face as their, basically painting canvas. And I just I've always been better with kids than adults. So, it's just some of the things that we always did. The go-kart racing that we've, done. And yeah, being sunburned and the work all night long, mostly on BJ's truck.
That's hard to believe too.
Another one that came in from a fellow watcher that couldn't tune in just live, but from our friend Ron Ergot asking, what was the story behind dropping the tire in Jonestown, Pennsylvania?
Is that the one that went into the river?
Yeah.
It was the dumbest arena out there. There was this little side road that, you runs next to the river, and you have to do a hard right turn into the arena. And I don't know, it was one of those brain fart moments that I forgot tires were around, and we let it go, and you're like, all right, stay. And you turn around and you go get another tire, and then you come back and the tire's gone. And the only other place is in the river. It went out the door and down the cliff and into the river.
Well, that was a stupid place to put a river.
Yeah, exactly. Who does that?
Yeah. Dumb.
The last one here was also on the terms of weird placements. I have a picture for it to at least jog the memory. I think this was back in Calgary in 2008. Fan actually sent this in. A picture of you at a pit party with Rockstar completely upside down. It looks like you're signing autographs on the tire while it's upside down. So my question to you is, what made all that, I guess, work and happen?
I've always been trying to, to do different things and, help promoters out and try to be that, I've always wanted to try to do stuff just like that. Even when we just did our our open house just a few weeks ago, we took the old Rockstar and stood it on its nose, and then had the one tire off of it, put it in the dinosaur's mouth, just to have those pictures. I mean, this is supposed to be memories, for kids, because one of these days somebody's going to have to take my seat in Rockstar, and I'm hoping that it's going to be some kid that saw, at such and such day, that this is what he wanted to do.
Wow, that's kind of inspirational.
Turn good moments into teary ones there.
Am I your hero?
I feel like a bad person now. I ain't done shit for nobody. I just want to get loaded and get out of there.
Get in and get out, huh?
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to do. I just want to get to Applebee's, get something to eat, and have a drink.
Yeah. Anyways, back into more of our fan questions here. We have one from Mackenzie Ray asking Bill, what was your thought over running over the back of Miss Bigfoot back in 2010?
She was faster than I was, so I had to do something to win. In all honesty, I mean, that track was only 2 trucks width. And during the drivers' meeting, we even discussed it. I mean, if somebody just stays in the middle, they're going to win because we'll be able to pass them because the thing was only 24 feet wide. So I said right in the drivers' meeting is rubbing racing, and I remember Jim Kohler said, "Bring it on." So I never drew a Avengers card. It was Miss Bigfoot was the person I got to race first race, and that was literally what happened. It was I still wanted to win.
If I can't go around her, I'm going over.
She got my way.
Well, did you win the race?
Yeah, of course I did. I sat there waiting for her to go again. I'm like, I'm out of here. Because I wasn't sure if they were going to restart the race or what. Pretty soon I just took off. I think I lost the next round.
You couldn't see her in the truck yelling, "Go around." This is why monster truck use hazard lights.
Well,
right.
All right, tuning it back in with a few more questions. We have one from Levi Shones asking Bill, what was it like driving a Leafer-style truck before building a new Rockstar for 2011?
I don't think my guys really, understand what it was like because, I try to describe it, and it doesn't do any justice. And, you watch videos like the one that you guys had on the beginning of that video of the white Rockstar in Kalispell when it broke the wheel off in a cartwheel. I've always tried to describe it to the guys as, basically put yourself in a chair and go to the top of the roof on the shop and then just jump off and land on the seat, and that's what it felt like. I mean, it was just like it looked. It was, very bouncy and very solid. And you just hoped, every time that, all your teeth were still going to be intact. Now like one of our ride trucks is leaf springs, and we hit a speed bump or we hit, the corner of a jump when we're giving rides. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that was horrible. And then I start to remember that I used to jump buses with it. But it's funny is because, even like the guy that's been delivering dirt to us this past couple of weeks, every time he sees me walking, he's like, what happened? Did you hurt your back? I'm like, no, that's my swagger. Should you try driving a leaf spring monster truck?
I'm just a pimp, dog.
Yeah, that's right. That's my swagger.
What else?
We have one from Brandon Robinson asking, I have a question for you. What makes your chassis different from the other builders?
Not a whole lot. I mean, we based our chassis off the Patrick chassis. It's everybody thinks that we have this big beef with Patrick, and I mean, it's really opposite. I admire a lot of his stuff. It's a very good middle of the road. The trucks can race, they can jump big, they can do donuts, they can do great wheelies. I just have never had the kind of money to be able to buy my parts, so it's something that we can make it for pennies on the dollar from what it sells for. So we always make everything that we can. We still learn different things that as every time we build a chassis, how to make it faster or stronger. Every time we roll over, or whatever. And honestly, it's those chassis are very fast to make. We can make a, Patrick knockoff, the SS chassis is what we call it, in 10 days, from, start to finish. Like the new Rockstar that we built took us 3 months. When you're trying to redesign the wheel every time you do something, it takes a lot longer. So again, when we were trying to build the team as fast as we could to get to the size we needed, that was the best and fastest way to be able to get our team to the size we were.
Well, now, so I got to ask, is the parts and fabrication and production, is that your end goal? I mean, is that when you no longer can drive, is to go into more of being a parts manufacturer for these things in the future, or is this just something?
One, I mean, I don't think I could ever just sit around and just wait for, people to call for parts. We never planned on selling the planetaries either. It was, as you guys see with our Facebook, we always try to post everything we're doing as a team, as we started posting it, people started gaining interest to what we were doing. And originally I was only going to make the 10 planetaries, 5 for me and 5 for Donald, because he wanted some too. And then, Kohler started piping up that he wanted some, and then Feld was beating down our door wanting to try them. So then it was like, well, let's go ahead and try some more. And, we have the same problem as every other monster truck does. I mean, the steering rams are only so strong, this is only so strong, or, this you got to pay, or, so-and-so is always out of stock on this part and it takes them 3 weeks to make. So half the time we just made them because we needed a part of our team, and then we help out other teams because they're in the same situation we are. So I don't plan on building parts. That's not what I want to get into. I want to remain racing, I mean, for as long as I can. But I'm going to still help out teams, because ultimately monster trucks, we are one giant family, and I do like every monster truck driver because we are in the same business.
God, you're just bringing the love tonight.
Except for your team.
You're just bringing, God, I mean, the warmth coming out of this thing is just.
Yeah, I got metal just falling on me right now.
You got what?
Maybe that was the glitter.
What was that? We didn't get to hear you there.
That's all right. I was just talking out my behind.
Perfect. I wouldn't expect it to come from anywhere else. What else you got, Mason?
Got one from Frank Patelli asking, what did Dennis think of you when you first came out with identity theft?
It's funny because I still never even met the man or talked to the guy. The first time I got to talk with Adam was just last year when he came to Seattle. And I was very timid on how that conversation was going to go as well, because I wasn't sure if these guys hated my guts or what. It's because Feld is a totally different deal than the Anderson family. And Adam, welcomed me with open arms. We talked, we chit-chatted. And I asked him that question, like, is your dad like gonna punch me in the face the first time he sees me, or how bad is he about this? And he kind of just chuckled and said, no, he's cool. But no, to this day, I've never talked to Dennis Anderson. I've never met him. I've never shook his hand. I've never had the pleasure to actually meet the guy.
Well, it's really Dennis's loss.
Here's a question from another mini monster truck builder. His name is Mike Mentor, saying, love seeing your build pics or what's new in the SUR shop. We would love to bring out our mini monster and come play at one of your guys' shows.
Really, it's, we've been trying to get, Lee Plato, trying to get his kid to be able to come in, and it's just trying to fill everything into our shows is the biggest issues, because we have such a show as it is with the tank and the jet, and now the dinosaur and the monster trucks. And ultimately it's, we do most of our shows with speedways. So we always approach the speedways with the options, what we can do. And none of them have ever wanted the mini monsters yet.
Well, I will say I've seen quite a few of them, and they're pretty damn entertaining.
Everything's kind of mini to you.
Well, that's true. Things on me, things around me. Moving on.
All right, we actually have one from a Mr. Frank Sharp saying, "Hey, Bill, remember the time you, me, and Jamie stopped at the diner in that town, and the waitress asked what was in that holler?"
I don't remember that. I remember Frank Sharp, but I don't remember that instant.
Well, then tell Frank to comment back in and give a little more detail. Then he can tell the story
through the comments.
Well, I'm just saying maybe he can say something else that will refresh young Bill's mind. You know, he has a lot going on. Complex guy.
I'd imagine.
Because I never stop and have dinner or anything like that at a restaurant.
Well, there was that one time, apparently.
Maybe we could find out with this one time, with maybe not this dinosaur time, but maybe a different story. Because one of our questions we love asking our guests is, what was their favorite like road story, like from the past or present? Could have been this year, last year, or when you first started. But what's to you? What was your favorite? Like, yeah, this is my favorite road story. I love telling people.
You know, that's tough because I mean, there's one. You know, I've got like 10,000 thoughts that run through my brain every minute. So it's it all depends on what thoughts run in my brain at that moment. But yeah, I don't know.
Let's go with this moment.
They're all blanks. It's
Oh my God! Can you just answer the goddamn question?
I know what this is. What'd you say?
No, take your time. We got nowhere to be. Answer the damn question.
Like I said, I already lost my thought on that one.
Well, Christ, then let Lorna answer.
Road memory was. I mean, there's plenty of them.
You go sit in the corner. We'll talk to Lorna. She'd probably be more entertaining at this point.
She probably is.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to probably say my favorite memory is meeting my wife. I mean, that would probably be the right thing to do. But come on,
we do not lie to our fans on this podcast. let her come in and tell a damn road story then, because you suck at this.
Yeah, it's funny because I always need to tell her that she's on the top 5 of my favorite people because she knows that she's not the top one. So it's not a lie. Huh?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you're not even in her top 5.
By the sound of that laugh, I think that's correct.
All right. Are you going to tell a road story or are we moving on?
I think we're moving on. I don't even have one to tell. I'm a pretty boring guy.
That's actually okay. That's actually okay because Frank Sharp actually has commented back to help iterate on that question there. He's saying, apparently you told her you were hauling adult toys.
Yeah. Well, I've never. Now I kind of remember it. Of course, I'm going to give the PG version because Lorna's sitting right next to me. No, I'm kidding. I never. When people ask, what we're hauling, I usually never ever have been a bragger. I don't turn around and say, "Oh, we're monster trucks. I'm a monster truck driver." So I'll do things, like if it's in the middle of August, I'll say that we haul Christmas trees or whatever. And yeah, that I remember that I used to do that all the time. That we haul adult novelties. Because it just gives them that face on there, just like, and it usually ends the conversation right there because they're a little bit like stunned and they don't know what to say, so they leave me alone.
And that works. That story works the best when you're in a cab in Las Vegas at the World Finals, right around the same time the AVNs are in town. You can be a consultant for Doc Johnson, and they'll believe you. Me and my brother were top salesmen that year.
Believable.
Yeah. It was weird that we were pretending, but we still had the product. But anyway.
We'll save that story for another time, if anything. And going back to a few of our questions we have here, we have Bleed Plato again asking, will we ever see the old rock star back out doing shows at some point?
I don't know. I mean, we've kicked what we're going to do around with it, a few times. I mean, whether we should sell it or whether we should scrap it, whether we should just take the parts off of it. Right now, it's still sitting on its nose the exact same way it was when we did the open house. We haven't even pulled it back down. It's just sitting there. I don't know what to do with it because it may not ever work as well as it did with us driving it, with somebody else driving. And the same situation that Leah's in right now. It's if we sold it to somebody, I mean, they'd have a lot of work on their hands to make it a good truck again. Because I mean, it's got the same problems where it's fatigued, it's cracking. It needs a lot of work on the shock towers need to be cut back off of it again. It's been rolled so many times, it needs an overhaul. It was easier for us to build a whole new truck than it was to fix that one again. We've had to, like you said, front half it a couple of times, back half it a couple of times, and bottom half it a few times. I think the only thing original on it was the steering wheel.
Now, do you still have either one of the Jeeps?
Nope. Jeff Payne has the red one, the original hot stuff. He has that. The high voltage is in a scrapyard somewhere, melted down for pop cans.
No kidding. There we go. I could be drinking out of it right now.
Never know.
Yep.
Here's actually a comment from one of our Canadian drivers, Jason Court, here saying, "Awesome running with you, Bill. Can't wait to do more shows with you, and we need to get together and build a chassis."
Hey.
Jason's, he's very new to the business as well, but he runs hard. It's somebody with a lot of drive that wants to learn, wants to, compete. I mean, one of the few teams that I know that, within the first year, I think 5 shows of him ever driving, he was already, doing backflips. So, Jason's got, a long journey ahead of him, but he's already halfway there with, just the drive and the skills.
Well, what do you tell new guys? When you see a guy come into the sport that's just running his ass off, do you encourage him to continue that way?
Yeah, I love seeing other people fix their trucks.
You what? You need to quit moving away from the camera. You what?
I said I love watching other people have to fix their trucks.
Well,
I push them all. I tell them all the time. Nobody remember who's comes in first. They only remember who catches the most air.
Whoever gets towed off the track is the fan favorite.
Right. That's right. You're gonna put it in the trailer one bucket load at a time.
Yeah. That's why I always bring a big magnet.
It's like find all the parts.
Yep, you can go find all the shit that fell in the dirt.
Another question we like to ask our guests, because you've been behind like numerous trucks, and whether it's been your own or mostly just been through your own, but is there any other truck that you'd want to drive, like past or present? Like if you had the chance to drive behind like Gravedigger or Taurus, like which one would that be yours?
I think I just want to drive somebody else's money. I don't really care what truck it is. There's a lot of things that I want to try on my bucket list that I would love to do on somebody else's dime.
Well, this is more of like an identity you'd like to represent once. You think it'd be cool to go and represent another identity?
I mean, I've always thought, Tom Mintz with Max D's always kind of been an idol on, how he drove and just one of those, will face the consequences when they come. I'd love to give it a shot. I mean, I don't know if it's their trucks or if it's, just their driving style or what, but I'd love to give one of those trucks a shot.
I could definitely see you in one of those. I mean, all joking aside, I think one of them waterbed trucks would fit you very well. That's what I've been told. Driving them trucks is like driving a waterbed. Very forgiving.
Well, that's what people always ask you, like, where do you put the gyro? Because we've done some things that you think there's no way it should have pulled out of, but then you do the next jump and it flops over just driving off the track. So I don't know. It's
falls over coming out.
I don't understand it either.
What else you got, Mason?
going on a few of our last questions here. We have one from Levi Shones again asking, is Honda still sponsoring you guys? And what's your favorite Dallas story?
Well, Dallas stories, don't get me started because we've only got 10 more minutes or so. Honda, no, they are not on board anymore. They changed their marketing people, and the lady that took it over doesn't believe monster trucks is the direction for Honda. So we lost Honda this late last year. Dallas stories. That probably my Dallas story that I always tell everybody was the very first time that I ever talked to Dallas. So I had this genius idea that I was going to put my phone number on my website, and sponsors were just going to just call me and try to just push money on me to run their names. That's how I thought that this whole motorsports thing worked when I first started. The only person that ever called me was Dallas. He was 15 or 16 years old, and he was stuttering, and he was nervous, and he just kind of did the whole I'm a big fan, and he wanted to help out, and if we ever needed help to give him a shout, and we actually did that, where we did a display for Toys for Tots, collecting toys, and Dallas helped us at that, and he's never left ever since, and that was like 12 years ago.
Be the last time you ever put your phone number on a Facebook page, won't it?
What's funny is as I was talking with Dallas, I was also texting Ross from the Monster blog saying, take my phone number off the website now. So needless to say, still never had any sponsor ever call me and say, hey, we want to give you lots and lots of money. And Dallas is the only person that ever called me from it.
Who knew that wouldn't
now I'll
work?
have to put up with you guys.
Yeah, who knew that wouldn't work in sponsor hunting? Just putting your phone number out there. Somebody will call.
Like I said, I was new. I was 20-something years old, and I had no clue.
It seemed like an ingenious plan, but what the hell?
And hey, if you're new into the business, don't try it because it doesn't work that way.
It still don't work. You actually have to call them for them to reject you. They won't call you and tell you no.
Yeah, exactly. We found that out too.
Yeah. Got a couple more, Mason?
Yep, we have one from Matt Clark with an interesting question here. I'm Darren's nephew that drove Freedom Keeper. Don't think I ever did a show with you, but heard plenty of stories from Darren and Cam. What was your worst show damage you ever did?
Oh, gosh. Probably the worst one was when the front and the rear end was no longer connected to Rockstar. That was probably the worst one, where you're just looking at it thinking, are we going to have enough parts to get this thing back in the trailer, let alone to the next show? We've had a lot of, that's why we always try to post a lot of that stuff on Facebook. We've had a lot of moments that, we're looking at how are we going to fix this for the next show. Things like not having another motor and welding a piston up. I think people saw a lot of those pictures that we did, and then we ended up running that motor for 5 more shows with a welded up piston. We also had another show where California Kid, when it was Tevin was driving, we lost a motor, didn't have a spare with us, so we took 2 rods and 2 pistons out of the motor, put hose clamps over top of bearings on the crank, and then put milk jug over the intake to block the fuel from going in those 2 holes, and we ran those as a 6-cylinder, and it ran for 2 more shows that way. We've had to do a lot of things to get by. That's always kind of our team motto is we do not miss a show. Whether we go out there with 3 tires and do it on 3 tires, we're going to do it, because I've always drilled into my guys that unless it's catastrophic where it's going to cost us 10 times the money, then we run it no matter what.
There's nothing worse than getting done with a show and looking at a truck going, well, shit, where do we start to get this back together?
Yeah. It's been that look has been many times.
Yeah. You just sit there for a minute and you just kind of take it all in, like, huh, Let's see. Guess we'll start here
Well,
and see where we end up.
and I'm sure Cam can, vouch for it because, when you have a fleet of, a half a dozen trucks, and sometimes when you're done, you just look around, you're like, well, hell, which one do we start on, let alone how we're going to fix it?
Yeah. Well, let's go tire Dawn's down. We don't have to put that one back together, so let's feel like we accomplished something.
Progress. Let's see. We're going on our last two questions here. Here's one from Vincent Ackard saying, Bill, will we ever see a Max D spoof after doing the Gravedigger?
Well, we have some things in play that we've, thought about. It's just one of those pushing our limits, and it's I don't know. You never know with us.
So you're saying within the next year we're going to have minimum damage out on the West Coast?
Or who knows?
I may have just named it for him.
That's right. I'm calling my trademark guy right now.
Minimum damage.
Well, you heard it here first. That now the next minimum damage truck from Straight Up Racing was made here on this podcast.
And I will expect 7 cents from every T-shirt sold.
You're cheap. I would at least ask for
10%. I'm just not trying to be greedy. Just trying to make Killer kickback.
Be nice.
Yeah.
All right, we are ending with our last question from Tomas Orellana. This is an interesting one. Could you tell us about when your truck got involved with the repo car that got crushed a few years ago back on TV?
That was actually given to us by John Borba with WGS Motorsports. They contacted him, and he had asked if I wanted to do it. I think they paid us like $800. We drove over the Porsche, and then we let the guy, hop into the truck, and he started doing all his cursing and, acting like he drove it. And then I just remember because I was sitting outside the truck, as they were doing everything, and I left my helmet in the truck. And when he's, doing his cursing at the person, this and that, and then you see my steering wheel go flying out the window, and he threw it at the guy. And the next thing you know, there goes my helmet flying out the window, and he threw that at the guy. I'm thinking, hey, that's my helmet, man. But we've only had just a small handful thing of TV stuff. And every one of them it's hard because, you don't know how you're supposed to act. You don't know what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to say, but we always get through them.
Well, who knows? Maybe that porn career will take off you've been shooting for, and you can start getting your TV acting down. But I wish you could.
Well, see, there's that problem is we have 7 monster trucks, so that means I'm already compensating for something.
Yeah. I was going to say it was a short career. Just quit sending me the videos to critique them. I'm tired of watching them, seeing them. I'm done with it. Well, Bill, dude, I appreciate you coming on. I know you guys are super busy and you are go. So for you to take an hour, we are truly blessed. I feel like the angels have shined upon us to allow you to stop by for a minute, but I really do appreciate it. You really are one of the good ones. What's that?
I said I get paid for this, right?
Yeah. Mason will get with you as soon as this is over, and he'll settle up out of his account. He'll PayPal you.
Thanks, Mason.
He'll take care of it.
Specified amount, so it could be anywhere between $100 or 50 cents. So it's kind of I'm just gonna roll a dice real fast after this episode and see how much you get paid.
At least I don't have to pay anything.
Tell you how good of a negotiator he is. He throws the big number out first. But, well, dude, I appreciate it. Lorna, thanks for sitting there and being patient and listening to make sure he doesn't say nothing stupid. And we appreciate you guys being on, and hopefully we will see you soon. But if anybody wants to follow the team, where can they go to follow all your antics and shenanigans?
Just Straight Up Racing at Facebook. It's got all of our info, all of our builds. But guess what? My phone number is not on there.
Nobody wants you. They wish your wife would put hers on there, though. Everyone wants to talk to her. Nobody wants to talk to you anyway.
That's right.
All right, dude. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right. That guy is something else. That's all I can say. Something else. I love that guy. All right. Well, another good show, Mason. Good job. I believe you have some sponsor work to do.
Of course. Always our close sponsors, the Florida Hot Sauce Slingers, Spur Hot Sauce. They are a local business based in Florida where the Southwest meets the Southeast and a clang of hot and tangy flavors. When you want to spice up your next meal, think of Spur Hot Sauce. Make sure to give them a like and contact on Facebook or Instagram and tell them MonsterCast sent you. Also, you cannot forget Monster Truckinator TV, the place to go on for Facebook for all things new and old monster truck related. And with that, what was that?
What?
Oh, I heard something in the back there. I thought it was like nails on a chalkboard right there.
It was ice moving in my cup.
Sound
Sorry
a
about
lot
that.
different on camera. Either way, though.
My bad. All right. So this Sunday, coming up, we're going to have the drivers of Nitro Menace and Jailbird, my brother and niece, Darren and Kaylin Vigues. Pretty excited about that one. They're actually going to be together for the weekend, so we thought we'd bring them on. I just want to tell everybody, have a happy 4th of July this weekend. Everybody, please be safe. 5 fingers is better than 4, so just be careful. Everybody have a good time. I wish everybody the best. Mason, have a good 4th of July. You got any big plans this weekend with the family?
It's going to be a lot of us just actually spending a 4th of July together for once, so excited to do that. So other than that, I wish the best 4th of July to you and your family as well, and everybody else tuning in. Make sure to check out our Spotify and our Podbean, along with our YouTube for more of this action if you didn't get to go with us live. And with that, we will see you in the next episode on Sunday.
Hang on. I got to do my exo. I got to do my outro.
Oh, right. That's right. So what's your outro for today?
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
This now concludes our broadcast. We'd like to thank everybody for watching. Bye.